So there literally was a voice line that went, Dick Cheney.
No, it was this. Cheney Mania!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a new episode of Party Chat. This is my co-host, Ben.
What's up, everybody?
And today we are with a living gaming legend. This man is the voice of my childhood. 4 a.m. playing Team Fiesta with the boys. Flag taken, flag dropped, flag taken, flag dropped. We are with a man who has also many other notable roles that we'll get into as well. We're with Jeff Steitzer, everyone. Welcome.
What's up, Jeff?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great. The voice is crazy. I feel like I'm inside a video game right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even doing the voice, though.
Oh, it sounds
This
like...
is just me. This is the way I sound. You know,
We
to
love
do
you,
the
Jeff.
voice, I'd have to do like, unfreaking believable.
Oh, my God. That's so cool.
Team Podcast.
It's so...
Podcast.
It's so crazy that the first time I heard you talk was like 20 years ago.
Really?
And
Oh,
now
well, yeah, of
we're in the
course.
room together.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
nuts. Destiny.
How's life been, recently for you? Like, what have you been up to recently?
Well, it's been pretty good. I am based in the Seattle area,
Great.
so I'm lucky enough to be able to spend a good amount of time at home, and I get to pursue a lot of things that are of interest to me.
Yep.
I used to be a stage actor and director, and I've given that up now. It's too exhausting. I'm too old.
Right.
Actors have to do 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
And it's like, why?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. And the money is crap, and I got tired of all that kind of stuff. So now I have agents in New York who look out for me and send me auditions. I just did one yesterday that got sent in.
Nice.
Which is great. I love that.
Nice.
I do an incredible amount of reading, which I love to do.
Right, you're saying you do audiobooks.
I have done some audiobooks, and I'm preparing to try and do a push to do more. The problem is, before we started, I mentioned I'm incredibly lazy.
Yeah.
And that's one of those
Us
things
too.
you've got to be
Same.
willing to, go down into your little home studio, like I've got, and be
Read.
willing to sit there for like 4 hours and read.
Read 300 pages
And,
out loud.
Yeah, and it's like I'm pretty good and I'm pretty fast and all that kind of stuff. But it's also the marketing, all that kind of stuff, and reaching out to the publishing houses that actually offer that kind of work. And then I think, oh, do I need to? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty well with other stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
What about the Halo? I think there's a Halo book, right?
There are a lot of Halo books, and it is just inconceivable that they did not reach out to me to do the audiobooks. I will never understand it.
Unbelievable.
I think so too. And I'm, in case any of those people hear this, I'm available, and I'd love to do one of those.
Book
things.
Jeff. Book him now. I bought some of those books when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think I read like 10 pages and then gave it up.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. When the game's right there and it's so much more engaging.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
kind of a good hack for you. Like, maybe you should just do audiobooks for the first 35 pages because no everyone's kind of only going to do the first 30 anyway and then stop. So
That would be an interesting thing to pitch to the people who publish the Halo books. I'm not sure if they'd go for it, but hey, I'm game for just about anything.
All right, well, this podcast is called Party Chat. This is the Party Chat button. Every time we press it, we're going to hit you with a new question.
Uh-oh.
All right?
I mean, yes,
Okay. You ready?
sure.
The first question, or I think this is more of a favor. I need you to do something for the entire Halo community right now. And I need you to just satisfy this fantasy. Can you introduce the game mode of a Halo Battle Royale? So you know how you do like Team Slayer?
Right.
Could you be like Battle Royale?
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. Give me a second. Battle Royale.
Oh my God.
That would be something special, wouldn't it, Bungie?
That's awesome.
That would be something cool, huh, Microsoft?
Yeah, because they really are paying attention to what I think. I gotta tell you, they come to me first. It's like,
Yeah.
Can we do another game, Jeff? It's like, I guess.
Are you going back and and doing voices still for Halo?
Yeah, I'm available, and when they ask me, I do go. It was very odd because the last big game, of course, was Infinite, and I went in to record. This was so weird. It was like a week before everything shut down. It was in 2020, and it was
Got
March.
it.
And what was even weirder was, in order to get to the studio where we were working, I actually passed the nursing home where the first cases were found.
Wow.
We all discovered that lately. It's like, and of course we didn't know. It's like, I mean, could that stuff filter out somehow? And did I drive through COVID or what is it even?
Dang.
You know, we didn't know. And so I did the recording for that. And then I came back and did some more recording later. And then like right before the game dropped, I did some other things. And then when the game came out, people said, "Boy, you're not in that much." And it was like, really? Oh, okay. Because I did the usual amount of recording. But again, I don't know what we do.
Right.
What we do is going to end up in the game.
Follow up.
Sure.
Why do you think they haven't done? Why do you think Halo hasn't done a battle royale yet?
I honestly don't know. It's real. As everybody knows, Halo sort of falls into two time periods. There's the Bungie time period, and there's the 343 period.
Right.
And I will say, because I started with Bungie right at the very beginning, and so I got to know a lot of those folks personally.
Yeah.
And then when 343 came in, there was generally turnover sometimes between games. So people I might have worked with on one game were not necessarily there for the next game. Plus, for Bungie, I would go out to where the actual production of the game was happening.
Yeah.
It was all happening in these big places with offices. And so everybody was together, and I would be taken around to see kind of what the work was that was happening on the game. With 343, we started just going into studios, and so I was even sort of less connected in that respect.
Yeah.
Again, lovely people. The 343 folks, everybody I've ever worked with has been terrific. It was just a different kind of a thing. Excuse me. So I don't really know, what their thinking is from game to game. Now I understand and again, I had to find this out because somebody on TikTok mentioned it, that they're apparently working on a new game
Yeah.
called New Dawn.
Interesting. Okay.
Didn't know anything about that at all.
Yeah.
There'd been some hints at a convention that I had attended by a couple of people. They said, their stuff is moving, and it's like, can you be more specific? No, we can't.
Yeah, they keep it secret over there.
Yeah.
When you first got the Halo gig, did you have any idea that it was going to be as massive as it was? Did it feel like a huge project?
No, nobody knew. Nobody knew. In fact, Marty has said on many occasions that when they were first working on the first game, they thought, boy, if we sold, I think it was there was a number, and it was ridiculously low, like 60,000 units, it would be a success.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it crushed that quickly and moved on to become just, unbelievably huge. Nobody had a clue. And in fact, when the game came out, I still didn't know, because this was a job like many of the jobs I get, where I get cast in something and I go out and I do the job, and I'm told a little bit, but maybe not a lot about what it is. Certainly in this case, I did get to see on the first day I went out, I remember I got to see some of the work the artists were doing. So I saw a Halo ring, and they showed me a little clip of, the one of the warthogs in motion. It was kind of like, whoa, because, back then that stuff was hyper real. It was It was mind blowing, and so that was very cool. But that was about it. So I did my job, and afterwards it was like, "Is that it? We're done? Okay, goodbye."
Especially as the multiplayer announcer, you're like, you have no clue. So you had no clue what was going on.
None whatsoever. And I walked away, and I didn't think a thing about it. I didn't know it had become a hit. So about, whatever, it's every 3 or 4 years I get a phone call saying, "Hey, they want you back for the game." And it's like, "Oh, really? They were doing 2. They're going to do a sequel." I went, They are. So that first one did well, huh? And they were like, "Yeah, I guess so."
Did all right.
Yeah.
What was the moment when you realized, whoa, I I am a famous voice actor in a famous game? Like, was there like a specific moment?
Well, there were two moments, actually. One moment was when I happened to read in the New York Times that it was the second or the third game. It made $175 million in the first day alone, in the U.S. alone.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, this is big.
Yeah.
And then I started reading that there were all these people who were fans of the game, famous people. I think somebody said like Steven Spielberg was. That makes sense because he produced the TV series. And you're going, really? But it was when I would meet very, very occasionally because nobody knew what I looked like or sounded like in real life.
Yeah.
So it was, I was just passing amongst, the larger populace, completely invisible. And which
It's
is
kind of a
fine.
dream scenario.
Sort of. But, I'm I have enough of an ego that it's nice to have that stroked. And so, every once in a while, somebody might sort of go, you've got a really distinctive voice. Do you do like games? And I go, yeah, I do. And they go, well, what game do you do? And I go, well, I do Halo. And they go, what do you do in Halo? And I go, well, I'm the announcer. I do double kill, triple kill. And, they would like go a little crazy.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there were instances where people I've been talking to suddenly couldn't look me in the eye, or people who would start
They think
vibrating.
you're God.
Yeah, like at a convent. Like, do you remember your first convention? Like,
Indeed I do.
Was there like an experience where all of a sudden you like do the voice and everyone's like, what the heck?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. The first convention I attended was here in the Seattle area, out in Puyallup, where our fairgrounds are. And I was out there with Jen and with Steve, and it was great. And so people would go up and they'd say, what does it mean that you're the announcer? And I'd say, well, I'm the guy that says, and I would do a few lines, and they'd be like, and there were also people who would come up, and again, they would like put out, the thing they want signed, but they would never make eye contact.
I mean, it's crazy. We had the same experience with the GTA guys, where like
Yeah.
voice actors are really I mean, with the exception being their visuals are pretty accurate in game, but voice actors from video games, you see a person from a video game, or you hear a person from a video game in real life, and you take that into reality. It's pretty shocking. I mean, even when you say double kill, it really does like transport you to the game. It's
Like
pretty.
scratches a weird itch in my
Yeah.
brain.
It's so interesting to me. I mean, I sort of have started becoming more interested in other voice actors. For the longest time, it's like had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But then I started doing, conventions and stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh, you do that voice or you do that voice. I remember when the actor, I can't think of his name right now. He was Batman, who just passed away. One incredible voice actor.
Kevin
Conroy.
Yeah, Kevin Conroy.
And exactly. And I remember when I saw him, I thought, oh, I would not have guessed that's what he looked like because of the way he sounded. Just as I would imagine some people listen to Steve and don't necessarily expect when they see him that that's what he would look like.
Yeah.
It's totally.
It's really kind of an amazing thing. When you started out, and I think you mentioned that, I'd been the voice of your childhood, which I've heard from a lot of people.
Seriously, I mean that. I'm not just saying that because we're interviewing.
No.
you, like-
I heard that from a lot of folks. And
I got asked to a school dance by a girl, and I told her I was going on a trip, but I was secretly just playing Halo.
oh no, to think how much of your growth I stunted inadvertently. I never intended for that at all.
It's one of my favorite memories. So it didn't,
When you said you were up at 4 a.m. in the morning, it's like, where were your parents? How
I
could they
know.
let this happen?
I
Oh
know.
wait, I guess I'm culpable too.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. There was a situation where it was even more kind of amazing. I was in Phoenix for a convention, and this guy came up and he said, I just have to tell you that I grew up in being abused in this household, and the only way that I was able to get through it was to go to my room and play Halo and listen to your voice.
wow.
Exactly.
That
and
hits.
yeah, and I said, you're not still at home now, right? And he said, no, I left when I was 16 years old.
Damn.
And then he said, can I give you a hug? And I said, yeah.
Wow.
Least I can do. But that's not the only instance of that happening. With some of the cameos I do, people will say this person, has been going through a rough time for this, that, or another reason. Could you try to cheer them up, make them, let them know that they're important, that they're loved, and that's the thing about meeting fans, is that they become a lot more real. When you hear you've got fans in a generic sense, that's one thing. When you meet them, that's something entirely different.
And when you find out like what you mean to them in their like intricate life, you're like, oh, there's a million people who bought this game and heard my voice, but then it's like there's like a million detailed, interesting, intricate lives the same as my own that are like playing this game, listening to me.
And I was for years completely unaware of it.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
What is the greatest voice line in Halo?
Unfreaking believable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what I like to say.
That's awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Are there any voice lines you recorded that were thrown away that you would have loved to be in the game, or any voice lines that you wanted to be in the game?
Well, there's one I can't say because they made a point of not letting us say it, so I don't say it. But it's sort of a variation of like, you stink.
Yeah.
You can imagine what it is. It was so much fun. It was so funny when it was said in the voice that we like just sort of stopped, and I said it like 30 times. And then people would just laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. When the game came out and somebody said, didn't make it into the game. And it's like, why not? Microsoft wouldn't let it happen. And it's like, that's all I knew. It's like, oh, that's too bad. So because they were like not into having that said, I thought, well, I can't go running around saying it.
Right.
Unfortunately, someday I may just go, screw it. I've got 15 minutes to live. I'll record it.
Yeah.
But the other one was one that we did, and this may be my favorite for other reasons, but there was an incident some years ago when Vice President Dick Cheney was out hunting.
Oh, yes.
You may remember this. And he shot one of his fellow
Hunters.
Hunters in the face, as I recall.
And then he apologized.
Yeah, which is like, it would have been better if he just hadn't shot me, but okay, that's fine. So what happened was the writers for one of the games said they thought it would be great if you shot one of your own team players. You heard me saying this line they'd come up with. You wouldn't hear it all the time. I think it was going to be buried so that it wasn't, something that you could go around killing your friends and expect to hear every time. It was like once every 1,000 times or something. But then again, when the game came out, it's like they went, yeah, well, you can't say.
So there literally was a voice line that went, Dick Cheney.
No, it was this. Cheney Mania.
No way!
Yes, and
That's crazy.
well, you can see why they might have thought that had a line or something. But I mean, and again, that was one of the ones that just stopped us dead when we were recording because we were just all laughing so hard.
That's
God,
hilarious.
that's
They
so
go, okay,
funny.
try it again. Do the Cheney Mania. And it was great. It was great fun.
Wait,
and
can
I
we-
have done
can we
that
do
one.
one?
Wait, me?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Oh.
Oh, Cheney Mania.
That's awesome.
That's
Wait, give me.
insane.
Cheney Mania.
Betrayal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Anyway, so that was one, and then it's so funny because we had a lot to record when I would go in to record. Although in time, it got to the point where I could like wrap it up in about an hour. Even though we always booked 4 hours to record for you.
Yeah.
And you might come back and do another round of them and then some pickups and stuff for whatever reason. And the way it worked was there'd be a whole list of lines and they'd ask me for 3 takes of each line. So it's like, give us 3 versions of double kill, double kill, double kill, double kill, or whatever. And you'd just go down the list, and there'd be hundreds of lines that you do that way. 10 seconds remaining.
Oh, yeah.
10 seconds remaining.
Whoa.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
This is so boring, but they were, had to be done. So you did all of those kinds of things, and then we used to do it off pieces of paper. And I'd have a music stand in front of me, and you get to the end of the page and you throw it on the ground because it was probably the quietest way to get rid of it and didn't rustle. And what they would do is they'd say, okay, let's go down to line 6. Okay, give me 3 more of that. or line 15, 3 more of those, and you just go through it that way. Take a couple of hours, which was great. And then eventually, what happened was they did them on a monitor, so it was just up there, and you could read them as you went along. So it was a lot of reading. And then afterwards, I get out, every once in a while, a fan would, get in touch, or somebody would say, it's like, well, what did you say for the new game? And it's like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just don't remember. And it was weird because they would also have me do game. First of all, they'd say, do you want to listen to yourself from the last game? And I'd think, no, I think I know what I'm doing. But it's like, I go, sure, why not? So I'd listen to myself for a little bit. I go, okay, I think I got it. And then we'd start doing it. And often they'd have me do like the old favorites. It's like Kill-tacular. It's like, haven't we done that already?
Right.
In all these games? Well, they want it new for every game so that it all sounds like it's the same game. They didn't reuse them very often.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was interesting. And then the other thing that made it a little bit confusing is that at the end of a session, just when we were finishing up, they would suddenly have a page of all sorts of things like, happy birthday, Derek. And it's like, this isn't going in the game. It's like, no, we're doing this for the guy down the hall, in the other office and stuff.
That's
and it was
hilarious.
like, yeah, I'll do that. Sure, why not?
What's the weirdest thing someone's made you say in that voice? Not made you, but paid you to say in that voice on Cameo?
Well, not that weird. Oh, gosh, I can't remember. I mean,
Okay,
there are limits as to what I will do. I mean, there have been requests that were like so vile and disgusting and pornographic and stuff. And it's like, no. This is for fun. I'm sorry. And then generally what will happen is that they'll write back and they'll say, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I wasn't trying to disrespect you or anything. It's like, no, it's okay. I said, I just can't do it. And, because when you get a cameo from me, there's a little thing that says, is it public or is it private? And I think a lot of times people say, oh, it's private. Yeah, knowing full well they're going to put it up on some
TikTok.
social. Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And these days, it's like anything can go viral from any account. So
exactly
it's like,
right. So it's kind of like, okay, so I've got to be very careful about that because the last thing in the world I would ever want to do is anything embarrassing to the people who've kept me employed doing a job I love for 23 years.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I can't think of anything that was like really weird.
Oh, fair enough.
But I wish I'd known that ahead of time. I would have maybe looked through some of the things
Because
there have been some really unusual things where it's like I don't know what this means. I will sometimes go look it up in the Urban Dictionary and go, "Oh hell no! Oh no! I'm not saying that. I didn't know that's what that. No, I can't.
That's
I can't.
hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, brother.
All right, here we go. Speaking of internet slang, you actually did a video where you said internet slang in your voice like 3 or 4 years ago, I think.
Did?
Yes,
Okay.
I looked it up. And so I wanted to have you recreate Halo voice lines for Gen Z so Gen Z could understand it.
Okay.
And these are called brain rot terms because these Gen Z kids will scroll on TikTok and there's all these terms that are crazy. So I've rewritten some Halo voice lines that will really resonate with Gen Z.
Okay.
So is it cool if I say it and then you can kind of say it back to me?
I can try. Yeah.
Okay. So do you know what Riz is? Riz is like when you
Yes.
riz someone up.
Charisma.
Yeah. Yeah, it's charisma,
Yes.
short for charisma.
Yes.
All right, so this one is running Rizzler.
Running Rizzler.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes. That is amazing. Okay. And then the next one I want to do is mogging spree.
Mogging?
Yeah, so mogging is when there's a really good-looking person and they stand next to someone who is not so good-looking to make themselves look more good-looking. So they I'm not saying he mogs me. But all the kids are like, dude, stop mogging me, bro.
Okay, here we go. Mogging spree.
Yes, that's so awesome. All right, this one you can decide not to do, but all the kids say gyat. It's like having a dump truck. Oh, that guy's got a gyat. Like a big butt.
Oh. Okay.
It's not that bad, but
Gyat.
I was gonna say gyat taken. Gyat dropped.
Oh. Gyat taken. Get dropped.
That's awesome.
Capture the Gyat.
Capture the Gyat.
Okay, cool. All right, and then the other one I want to do is there's a really famous gymnast. Her name's Livy Dunn, and like
Livy Dunn.
Livy Dunn.
Yeah,
and so
okay.
everyone loves this girl. She's like super popular, and I want to do Livy Manjaro.
Oh, okay. Livy Manjaro.
That's so good.
That's awesome. Okay, that was it. That was good for that.
All right. In 30 seconds, I want you to do as many voice lines from Halo as you possibly can. Can you?
Well, let's see.
All right. The timer starts now.
Double kill, triple kill, overkill, killing spree, killing frenzy, kill-tacular, Kilimanjaro, kill apocalypse, kill-tastrophe, Killionaire, Slayer, Juggernaut, capture the flag, betrayal, gain the lead, hail to the king, game over.
Time! That was awesome! And he did
Thank
on
you
Game
so much.
Over. He's a pro.
Dude, thank you so much for like doing the voice lines and
Oh,
stuff.
it's electric.
It's so cool. And like, do you ever get the feeling like, man, I wish, like, do you ever get that feeling that a lot of really iconic characters get, or a lot of iconic actors get who play an iconic character? Sorry, let me repeat the question. Do you ever get the feeling that a lot of actors get when they play an iconic character that, man, I wish I wasn't just this character to people? Like, I don't like people coming up to me anymore and saying, like, do the Halo voice.
Oh, hell no. And I'll tell you why. Because I am privileged beyond belief to be a part of something that has had the kind of reach and impact that this game has had. And the love that I have seen expressed by the fans of this game is unlike anything I have ever experienced in my life. And the fact that it's this important to so many people is, as far as I'm concerned, something to be incredibly proud of, which I am. I am both grateful and unbelievably humbled by being a part of people. I'm a part of people's lives, even people I've not met. And it blows my mind. No, I don't get tired of doing
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. We also interviewed Zero from Holes. He's like plays a really popular character, and he said the same thing. He's like, and in his world, he's in a book that kids read like for American curriculum. So he's like every year.
Is it Louis Sacker's book, Holes?
Yeah. So
Oh
he's
my
like,
God,
so
wow.
he's like, I'm in this
Okay.
book, and then at the end of every unit, they watch the movie. So he's like, so every year, 50,000 kids watch me,
Wow.
and he'll like still call into classes and stuff, and it's really cool. And so I don't know. Sometimes you hear some of these other actors that are like, like I wish I'm more than that. Which I get, but at the same time, I'm like, man, so many people would love to be in that position to impact people.
Absolutely. And that's exactly the way I feel. I mean, there's no downside to it.
Yeah.
And in some
Right.
ways, the fact that I'm not instantly recognizable
Yeah.
is a good thing.
But you could be at the drop of a pin. Like you could go to the grocery store and say, gallon of milk.
Well, I've had that happen on occasion, and it's very, somebody will say, oh my God, I'll say I'm this guy and I say this, and he'll start to, get a little excited and stuff, and then I'll be gathering up myself and looking, and people are just staring at me like, who are you?
It's a great card to play.
When you are talking, though, sometimes I can kind of hear it a little bit, like as you're
really?
talking. Yeah,
Okay.
even when you're talking normally, I can sometimes what you like. I don't know. Some words I start to be like, oh, there it is. Like I hear like flashes of it.
Interesting.
And
I, of course, it's so
Yeah.
strange because the way I sound to myself is not always the way I sound when I listen to myself recorded.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I thought I sounded better or different or something.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. And yeah, it's just, it's one of those things I don't really have much of a sense of what it is.
Unless I knew, like you wouldn't be able to sit next to me on a plane, and I wouldn't know just from talking with you. But now that I know, and it's like it's weird. It's so imprinted in my brain, that voice, that I can kind of hear flashes of it.
Yeah.
This is the Halo voice quiz.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
No. But go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to explain a scenario from Halo, and then you tell me which voice line would be said in that scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm not going to be any good at this.
Okay. Just give it a shot. I eliminate 7 enemies in 4 seconds.
God. Killtacular.
Close.
Close.
Killtacular. I think it's Killtrocity, right?
Kilimanjaro.
Oh, is it Kilimanjaro?
I thought Kilimanjaro was 8.
I think it said 7.
I should know this because I do the whole list.
I got
for
my
various
fact
things.
checker on
I'm
it.
terrible.
But we'll move on to the next one in the meantime.
All right.
I eliminate 30 consecutive enemies.
Invincible.
That's right.
Correct.
Nice. I'm the last human alive in infection or flood game types.
Last man standing.
That's correct. I eliminate 5 or more enemies in a row with a splatter.
Splatter spree.
Yes, sir. I eliminate 15 enemies in a row with a shotgun.
Buck wild.
Yes. I eliminate an enemy while they're being assassinated.
Ooh.
You probably, recording this line, you would have no idea that that's what it's used for.
Oh. Yoink.
That's a good one.
That's awesome.
Because there's only the new ones. Is there like an animation?
That is interesting because I recorded that line. I had no clue what it was for.
Yeah.
And nobody ever told me. And I don't get that far of the game.
When was the last time you played a Halo
Oh, it's
game?
been years now.
Oh, wow.
It has been years. Well, you have to understand, when we were recording for Bungie, they were very nice. And when we finished, they would send me a copy of the game. And I go, okay, are you going to give me an Xbox to play it on? And they were like, no. So it's like, well, I don't know what to do with this because I'd already bought a PlayStation and a Nintendo for my kids.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't afford another gaming
That's
system
hilarious.
for the one game.
That the voice of Halo bought a PlayStation and a Nintendo for his kid.
But that was before I, got that job.
Still funny.
So what happened was the first time I played it, it was some years later, and I was in Utah being an actor, and one of the interns in the company invited me to come to his house for supper with his family. I thought, okay, sure, that sounds lovely on a Sunday, which is the day off. And so I show up, and indeed his folks couldn't be nicer. He and his siblings are, delightful, and the meal is wonderful, at the end of which he says, hey, like it's just occurred to him.
So right there, sorry to interrupt you, just occurred to him. Like that
Occurred to him.
for some reason, right there, it triggered in my head.
I understand.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that was
a
a good example of what just happened.
So as if it just occurred to him, he says, do you want to play some Halo? And I'm thinking, oh, God, I'd never played.
Right.
And I said, well, I wonder, how hard can it be? I mean, so we all go downstairs into their basement, and the wall is like, the screen for all the different, people who are playing. You've got your own little section of this wall. And there are bean bags, and everybody's got their own controller. And so, we get started, and we're off and running, and I'm going down a hill. I'm running down a hill, right? I've been running for a little bit, and I'm thinking, well, this is kind of boring. I should be doing something else. And so I stop, and I kind of like look around, and there's a little building over here, and I go, oh, I wonder if I'm supposed to go look at that building. So I think, well, there's a door in the side of the building. I'll just walk over, I'll go through the door and see what I find. So I walk over, to the door. But as I'm walking, I'm starting to sort of turn. So I'm like not going to the door. I'm going to the corner next to the door.
Yeah.
And then I can't get out. I can't turn. It won't let me go. And I can't back up. I don't know what to do. So and the rest of the people playing just started shooting me. And it's just like, they're shooting me. And it's like, what? So not only am I terrible at the game, but I have to suffer the indignity of hearing me say to me, game over. It's like, I hate this game. This is terrible.
Wow.
So, and they sort of realized pretty quickly, it's like, you don't really play this game, do you?
Right,
it's like,
right.
no, I really.
That's
But
incredible.
honestly, I think most gamers are mature enough now, at least to especially fans of the Halo franchise, mature enough now to realize you're a dad who didn't grow up playing video games. Of course, you're not going to be able to play the most craziest, or maybe you did grow up playing video games, but the like craziest. I don't know. I just feel like.
Well, it's
people
interesting
should
because
understand.
Marty O'Donnell, I mean, I've since attempted to play, and I'm no good at all. But Marty O'Donnell said, oh, I could teach you how to play this game, really well in 3 hours. The only problem is I don't see him for 3 hours. And it's like after a long day at a convention, the last thing he's going to want to sit down and, show me his secrets of how to play the game he created. Although it would be kind of a good thing to be able to tell people. It's like, well, I got taught this by Marty O'Donnell himself.
I do think, though, like, to give yourself some slack, like, he says that 3 hours, but it's almost like, it'd be like going into, like, a gymnastics gym and someone being like, oh, yeah, I could teach you how to do a backflip in, like, a couple hours. And you're like, no, you can't. Like some people, like, just, I can't do a backflip anymore.
He might be able to. I don't know. But it's interesting because the person who's just who's never played it and is happy to admit it, is Steve Downs.
Oh, interesting.
Never played the game.
Voice of Master Chief.
Has no idea he knows what he's involved in.
Yeah.
But the game itself hasn't got a clue.
Yeah, especially multiplayer is not, like, there's a big difference between multiplayer and story mode.
Yeah.
Which Halo voice actor was most like their character and which was least like their character?
I think that we all had to be a little bit that way to do the voices that we do. I mean, Jen, of course, is kind of brilliant because she not only does Cortana, but she also does Dr. What's-Her-Name, the person who created Cortana. Oh, yeah. She does that character as well. Nice. So on the one hand, she's this, very sort of refined character. And then she can be much more, spunky as Cortana, or when Cortana turns wacky and strange and stuff, she's able to do that as well. She's brilliant. And then Steve is kind of that guy. He's cool. He's cool. That's what he is.
Wow, you can kind of do the Master Chief voice, can't you?
I almost did. For real.
So if you were to have been Master Chief, what would that sound like?
Master Chief, finish the fight.
Whoa.
Something like that.
That's awesome.
But you know what? I'd have to do it. It would be a voice. Yeah. Steve, it's just like that, Steve. It's pure Steve. He sounds like that.
Wow.
And he's great.
Was there ever any romantic tension between Steve, Master Chief's voice, and Jen, Cortana's voice, in real life?
No. Oh, no. No. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I say that like I know all these personal details. No, I'm sure that there's never been anything like that because Jen is happily married to an amazing guy who she is absolutely devoted to her and vice versa. He adores her.
That's awesome.
And Steve is also happily married as well with kids.
Heck yeah.
So it's like, everyone is just fine in that kind of a
I don't want to get in the way of that.
Trying to tear the Halo universe apart.
They have said they love that relationship. They love that aspect of the relationship, the closeness of it. Yeah. But it's like she's an AI. Nothing can happen.
Right.
People sort of keep expecting it.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, we're.
I've found some cool.
All right, let's move on.
All right. Don't expect to see that in the game. That's all I'm saying.
Next one. I'm gonna name some situations from other games.
Oh God.
And you give me a voice line for those situations.
Okay.
Fortnite Battle Royale winner.
Battle Royale champion.
Truck stick in Madden, like when you have the ball and you run over a defender and you keep running to get a touchdown.
Go the distance.
Oh, that's perfect.
I like that.
NBA 2K, when you hit a green, that's like when you shoot a perfect 3.
Yeah.
In 2K.
Boom goes the dynamite.
That's sick. Warzone, when you lose in the gulag.
Gotcha. So you are so done.
Mario Kart, where you hit a banana.
No, damn.
That's so good. You're a natural.
I don't write any of the things I say in the game. You do
really?
realize that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I've never written a single line in the game.
Oh, wow.
Not one.
Dang.
They are not looking for my expertise in that regard.
We are.
Well, you don't even see what you're voice acting for, so how could you,
Well, I mean, there are certain things you could sort of throw in there just because there are crazy things that happen to the game, and I wish I could remember any of the things that I've done. It's 23 years. It's a couple thousand lines easy, and
Wow.
I can't remember them at all.
I don't blame you.
All right. So you were in Halo, but you were also in GTA.
Yep.
And what I'm actually more interested in is you were in the Cleveland show.
Yes.
What were you in the Cleveland show
I
for?
was the voice of a video game, and it was I can't remember the line, which is weird, but somebody's playing a video game, and they wanted my voice. I didn't even audition. They just said, they've got an offer to go do this. Do you want to go do it? I was like, yeah, sure.
Oh, cool.
So I assumed they were looking for something Halo-like, and I got there, and the director kept saying, no, it's too much something or other. And it's like, no, it's not that. And so in the end, I kind of did something that was fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
And it's like, why did they have me do
Yeah.
this?
Like, get it done.
Along those same lines, one of my favorite gigs, this was amazing. I was sent an audition by my agents in New York, and the specs for it were, we're looking for someone who sounds like the Halo announcer. And I wrote back to the agent and I said, I am the Halo announcer that they want. And they went, you are? Oh, okay, great. We'll let them know. And, I got the gig. It would have been so embarrassing if they'd go, yeah, we'll pass. We're looking for somebody who sounds more like that guy, But yeah.
That's so funny.
Wow, that's awesome. When Halo came out, I think gaming was not as well received in the mainstream as it is now. Mm-hmm. And I was curious because I know being involved with GTA, I'm sure you had some of this experience, because there was a ton of speculation about GTA having a negative impact on the youth. Mm-hmm. And I know there was some of that with Halo just being more of a violent game, but did you ever personally deal with that conversationally in your community, interviews wise? Did you ever come face to face?
Nobody has ever talked to me about that at all.
Wow.
Not at all. No.
Were you was it on your mind doing that job in the 2000s?
Yes. Later on, I did start to think about the implications of the kind of game that we were doing. And came to the conclusion that, like so many instances where people want to step in and control what people do, it seems a little bit outrageous to assume that I know what's best for other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously I would be happier if I thought that all the young people who play the game had shared the game with their families so that they knew what they were up to,
right.
Which has not always been the case. But it's like, I think kids are so, what is a 60, 70-year-old person, which is what I now am, what do I know about what kids know and don't know?
Right.
A lot of the things they watch on TV, were inconceivable when I was growing up. My kids would never have seen it.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember my son being traumatized watching Chucky on Child's Play.
Right.
And it's like, that is nothing compared to what kids can see.
Right. Nothing
on a
compared to
streaming
even
service.
like Game of Thrones.
Absolutely.
Now.
Absolutely.
isn't
And
even
so
a
it's
horror
like a
thing.
part of me goes, if I were in a position to say to people, yeah, play your games, enjoy your games. I understand the appeal of the experience. I also love the fact that it allows a lot of people to bond. One of the things I've heard from so many folks is I met my best friend playing Halo. I met my group playing Halo. My dad introduced me to Halo. In a couple of instances, it was my mom who turned me on to Halo. I played with my siblings. That, to me, is a kind of socializing I think is fantastic.
Totally.
At the same time, I would say, that's great. Now, still, go read books,
Yeah,
and look for the best experiences, because that, I think, is going to make you a more well-rounded person. That's all.
Yeah.
But
hit
to
it.
sort of, especially knowing what a politicized thing it is, and it's such bullshit. coming
is.
from the people who are responsible for so much else that is kind of appalling in our existence. It's like, yeah.
It's been scientifically proven that there's no link to violence in violent video games.
There was a,
Again, it sort of presumes that kids are too stupid to realize that there's a difference.
Yeah.
It's like, I think they do.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of pro gamers too, and it's pretty interesting, even just from personal experience. We'd do videos sometimes where it's like, we'd take Call of Duty pros and like have them try out, like at a shooting range or something, and be like, okay, like you play as this, soldier. Do you want to try it out in like a shooting range? I would say that like 99% of Call of Duty pros and Halo pros have never shot a real gun before, and they're like 25 and they've never even been interested in it. So that to me is like, these guys are inundated in it. They never even thought to do it, to even like pick that up as a hobby, like, recreational stuff. So anyways,
one of the interesting elements of that, though, that I always thought was kind of genius and maybe you know about this from being involved with GTA, maybe not, but the story was that Rockstar purposefully kind of leaned into the narrative that their game was like corrupting the youth. And
Really?
Yeah.
To sell it?
To sell it, and it worked. I mean, I think it's the highest grossing game of all time.
Could very well be.
it's like when horror movies are like, people walked out of the movie theater in the first 30 minutes, it was so terrible, and then everyone's like, oh, we gotta go see it now.
Yeah.
Right.
I got one more.
Yeah. You said your dad was a sports announcer.
My dad was a sports announcer in the Black Hills in South Dakota, and he wanted desperately to be one, but then he moved the family out. It was just me at that point. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. We moved out to California where the other 4 were born, and he, I guess, decided if he's going to have a big family, then he had to find something that was a little bit more secure, and ended up selling cars. Oh, nice. I think it was always kind of, a tough thing for him to have had to give up. And he had a great sign-off line that I'd never heard before, and it was, he would finish a game or whatever he was announcing, and he'd go, this is Paul Steitzer, rounding third and heading for home. And I thought, that's really good.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So he was a fanatic for sports. He'd played baseball in college. I think there might have been some hope of maybe having a career at one point. And in order to please him, as all of us did in the family, I played most sports, and I swam, and I bowled, and I golfed, and I played Little League Baseball in Southern California, and I did a little bit of football. Never was much. I'm not competitive in that way.
Right.
I'd be lying to say I'm not competitive, but I don't care.
But you got the voice.
I know, but I don't really care.
That's
who
true.
wins, I had an epiphany.
Hit me.
I was in junior high school, and I had agreed to go out for football, which I had no interest in. I don't, the thought of like falling to the ground and getting dirty and getting hit, I could be hurt. It was terrible. And I remember at one point I was like, down in the crouch before, the football was in play, and I'm looking at these people from another.
The way you just said that is just clearly you're not.
Haven't got a clue. and I'm looking at this guy and going, wait a minute. He's from this junior high school. Next year, we're going to be in high school together. I have no problem with him. And then it's like all the people that are going to play in high school from the other high school teams are going to end up going to college with them. This is bogus. This is completely contrived and made up.
Yep.
There's no point to this at all, which was my justification for going, oh, great, so I don't have to do it, right?
Yeah.
I did.
Nice.
Now,
Dad, I'm home, and I got crazy news, but I think
exactly.
we're all friends.
Just so you know, it's like you're wasting your time. You really, really, really
I
should
don't
be.
think you figured this out yet.
I think it's time that you go through the entire canon of works by Dickens instead of wasting your. Nobody cares. But of course, that's not true. And the thing is, in a weird way, of course, it is a little bit like playing Halo.
Oh,
All the players are avatars for you, which is why you get so worked up about, and you scream at them, as if they could hear you or cared, and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. You know what I mean? I also understand there's a certain amount of community pride or civic pride that, is behind people being really intense about certain teams, none of which I share, all of which I respect.
Yep.
Okay? And then there have been occasions, years and years and years ago, the Seattle team was really doing well, and they were doing the playoffs. And I was taken to a game, and a friend of mine had access to a box. So we're sitting in a box, and they've got all the food spread out there.
That's
We're
pretty
watching.
nice.
Yeah, and they were playing the Yankees, and it was kind of like, this is the coolest thing ever. Yeah. But just being responsible for keeping track of all the different players and their stats and their histories.
Yeah,
I just had other things to do with my time.
It's a lot that goes into that. I had my last thing here.
Okay.
Because I know we're coming up on our time. But when was the first time that you did the Halo voice? I assume it was before you actually did it in the game. Did it occur to you when did you realize that voice was in your
Well, I
repertoire?
mentioned to you that I was almost Master Chief. I'd been told I was cast. Marty has since said, like, no, you weren't cast. It's like, I don't think my agent would have said I was cast if she didn't believe that you had told her that I was cast, but that's fine. So that didn't happen. But when I got the news that it hadn't happened, she said, but they want you to be the announcer. And I thought, well, what is that going to entail? I mean, being an announcer, announcers, to my way of thinking, were those Kraft macaroni and cheese, that kind of stuff. I didn't know anything more. But when I went in, and for the very first session, we didn't have it. So Marty said, can you do like a monster car truck rally? And go, monster truck rally. I said, yeah, I can do that. And he said, okay, pull that back a little bit. And he said, didn't you audition for like an alien? And I did audition for an alien, and the voice was something like this. I don't know. He said, well, throw a little of that in there too. And, in about 20 minutes, we had the voice that I've been using ever since.
That's how it was built.
That's how it was built. And it was built literally between the two of us. And I expected there was also input from our sound designer who was in the room as well.
Was there like a eureka moment or like a line that you said where they're like, that's it? That's the voice?
Not that I can recall.
Just slowly working into it.
But they just, obviously it was kind of like, yeah, let's go with that. And we did, and have never looked back.
All right. Well,
sorry. Last one. Any other like voices that you like you just did the alien voice, you used to like a monster truck voice.
I do. I can do lots and lots of different voices. I have to when I audition for like animated series and things like that. And I'm terrible at impressions. Every once in a while they'll send me impressions, and the only people I can do impressions of are long dead character people. So, there's like Lionel Barrymore, who's the old actor in It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
It's like, but there's not a lot of demand for that. Or, hey, Roy, Gabby Hayes. But again, nobody's asking you. Walter Brennan sort of has that kind of voice like that. But again, nobody's looking for those voices.
Do you do impressions?
No,
That's
God,
what he
no.
said, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like that's about it. Every once in a while, they'll say, can you do like Morgan Freeman? I said, no, but Morgan Freeman can. Why don't you pay him what he's worth? As opposed to trying to get me cheap.
Nice.
Because that's really what it is. I mean, if they want the gravitas, then I can try to be a little bit more that way. But
yeah.
Do you want to promote your cameo before we get out of here?
Yes.
And your celeb?
A couple of things. I've got an online store through CelebWorks, who are the people who handle all of my personal appearances at gaming conventions. By the way, I should mention that if you're going to be in Columbus, Ohio, on the 2nd and 3rd of November, I will be too, along with Jen Taylor and Steve Downs, Master Chief Cortana, and the multiplayer announcer. We'll all be there together. And looking forward to meeting anybody who shows up. So through CelebWorks, I've got an online store where you can hire me to sign autographs on posters they offer. Or if you've got something, a helmet, say, or an energy sword, or whatever. I once signed a warthog at a convention.
Whoa.
Somebody had made one out of a golf cart. It was pretty cool.
That's sweet.
Then you can send those in, and they'll send them to me, and I'll sign those, and then we'll send them back to you. And then as far as cameos are concerned, you go to, so the CelebWorks is www.celebworks, works being spelled WORX.
We'll put it up on screen.
Yep. And then the other is cameo.com,
Yep.
where I do personalized videos for all kinds of occasions. If you got a birthday coming up that you want someone to have something special for, or graduation, or an anniversary, or if you want to roast people or get advice or all kinds of things. I am there.
Can you
and
roast him
happy to
real
do it.
quick, just
Can
to show our viewers an example?
To roast him?
Yeah, of what they could get on a cameo. This is my friend Grady. I want you to roast him.
Yeah, Grady. Grady. Oh, dude. I heard you had terrible fashion sense, but I thought they were just joking, but not at all. I mean, maybe someday the idea of having a hoodie combined with a gold jacket will be in style, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be long dead by then, don't you think?
That's awesome.
Good. That's good. That's
I'm
good.
sorry.
No.
I hate
to do it.
roasting people. I do. I'm pretty good at it, but I hate doing it. And I always apologize during there, and I go, I'll say things like, I've been asked to roast you by your ... friend.
That's hilarious. Nice. Well, I think we got to close it out by saying that Party Chat is rounding third and heading home.